I've been waiting to do this video for a very long time. Here I have two off-road trucks from Chevrolet, two ZR2 trucks. Colorado ZR2 happens to be a Bison, very off-road worthy, and the new truck, the Silverado ZR2. And my friend Will and I are gonna put these two on our course here at Tumbleweed Ranch, Andre Spit, to see how they compare in the real world. So let's get off-roading now. Of course, this wouldn't be possible if we didn't have a Colorado ZR2. So, Will, thanks for coming out.
You're welcome.
So, thank you for bringing your truck. Can you kind of tell me, when you got it, why did you buy it, that type of stuff?
So I got it back in September of 2020. It's a 2021 model. And I got it because I've had Wranglers in the past. I've had Power Wagons in the past. So I wanted something I could off-road with. And I like all the toys. I like that it had lockers and everything else.
Yeah.
But I like the size. So that was the main reason.
A little bit more manageable, smaller size. So let's look at the suspension first. And this is a gas-powered truck.
Yes.
You can also add a diesel. I mean, if you wanted to. But let's talk about the suspension, because you can kind of probably see it from the front down below. Obviously, the ZR2 Colorado was the first ZR2, at least in the modern era. I mean, there was a Blazer ZR2 long ago. But they have the fancy suspension, right?
Right.
It's a DSSV spool valve, shocks, and specially tuned suspension, slight lift, right? It's a little bit taller.
2-inch lift, I think, over factory.
Yeah, and of course, special approach angles, special bumpers. But this goes further because it's a Bison.
Right.
Beefy, strong bumpers, boron steel alloy skid plates everywhere.
Yep.
Hey guys, as you know, it is that time of year, the time of year where we start selling some of our long-term test fleet. And to do that, we've brought our old auction site back from the dead. TFLBids.com is back. And this week we're going to be selling not only our Suburban that we use for the Go Big video series, but also a pretty cool and pretty rare Kia Sorento. First generation, unknown off-roader that will surprise you. So go check out TFLBids.com and get yourself a beautiful Suburban at no reserve, or a first generation Sorento. More trucks to come on TFL Bids.
The Silverado ZR2 uses kind of the same recipe, so to speak, as the Colorado before it. So, it has a special bumper. It's all steel. It's actually modular. It has cutouts for good approach angle. It's about 31.8 degrees up here, which is quite good. Of course, recovery hooks, skid plates. This is not a Bison version. There is a rumor that the Silverado ZR2 Bison is coming maybe within the year, but that's not an official statement, so we don't know. Shocks and suspension, still really, really fancy. You can kind of see them. And still DSSV spool valve. I actually talked to some of the engineers at GM. They told me that the piston size on these shocks compared to Silverado and the Colorado are the same size. It's just the stroke is longer on the Silverado shock. And of course, how they position the different reservoirs on the shock is a little bit different too. Well, first of all, thank you for letting me drive.
Oh, no problem.
This is very special. And of course, coming out. So we have several obstacles in Andre's pit. I did not name these obstacles or the pit, but thank you. So first we'll do holes street, which is kind of articulation and some traction.
Okay.
Let's do that in 4 high. Okay. And let's try no lockers yet. So we have a lot of obstacles. They do test pretty much everything, and we use it for SUVs. But for the purposes of this comparison, we could also use it for trucks.
I'm kind of curious to see how these Michelins do.
Yeah. So once again, this is without lockers. We're just kind of moving in 4-wheel drive.
4 high or 4 low?
4 high for now.
Okay.
Maybe on the logs we'll try 4 low, huh? Just to get a little bit more gearing.
Just kind of walked through that, so.
That's easy.
And look, sky.
Yes. So you were mentioning this. I mean, you kind of were also looking into camera systems, right?
Yeah.
And this truck only has reverse camera.
Correct. So that's actually a feature I would like to add to this at some point, because I do like the hood bump. You know, it's got a nice aesthetic to it, and I like that it's painted black so you don't get a lot of glare. But you do have some moments where you can't see over the hood.
Yes.
And you either get sky or nothing, and you're kind of like, okay, where'd the trail go?
All right, so let's run the same obstacles, and I will go to 4 high just like I did in the Colorado, and then we'll progressively, you know, as it gets more difficult, we'll progressively switch into 4 low, and then lockers. Okay, so here's what I want to see, because the wheelbases are drastically different. The length is different, and of course the tires. So let's see how it takes care of this first one. Once again, the shock technology is the same. Of course, it's tuned a little bit differently. And we're hitting different holes at different times. I'm trying to modulate it kind of like I did with yours, going as slow as possible.
Yeah, I gotta say the ride in here is a little bit more comfortable.
You think? Yeah.
It's got a little bit more plushness to it.
It's maybe also because there's a little bit more tire sidewall.
Yep.
It might be actually the tire helping out as well. So let me go to 4 low. So neutral, 4 low. It usually works pretty easily, and then so it disables automatically traction control and stability control. So we have all that. Now just drive. And once again, how about we save the lockers for a little bit later. So these logs are also about kind of traction, right? Tires. And I'm gonna try to make it as slowly as possible. And
it's tires, no momentum.
Yes, and also what's important really is also clearance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, can I step over it? Yes. And gearing helps, like doing it slowly. Okay.
That worked.
So let me go to neutral, 4 low. I also have like off-road mode and terrain mode, but I'll just do normal.
Yeah, that's one thing. The Colorado doesn't have a terrain mode.
Yeah.
They have the off-road mode.
Have you used it, or have you noticed much difference with it?
I haven't. I think all it does is just turns off a couple more of the
the nannies,
like traction control nannies and things.
So we're kind of bouncing around. These territories are very aggressive.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll have trouble with tire slippage. At least I hope not. And enough clearance, it seems like. Of course, this is not a Bison, so I don't have all the skid plates. I do have some. And in 4 low, if you hear this, see, it's waiting to shift. It's a little bit more aggressive on, you know, it kind of gives you a lot of RPM.
So I've had, in the past, I've had pickup trucks with tonneau covers, had pickup trucks with hard shell caps, and every single one of them always had some kind of limitation. The tonneau covers, you can't put anything tall in unless you move it out of the way.
Them or something.
The caps are heavy to remove, and again, space limited. So this offered me an option of being able to put a cap on to keep the back kind of weatherproof. Obviously it's not secure because it's just fabric. If I want the sides roll up, all of that, that's all the clips on the top. So
yeah, right here. And so and it's kind of a clean installation too. It's pretty nice. It doesn't stick out, you know, it doesn't stick out on the side. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, fits in nice, pretty clean.
And then this is of course the Bison, still the AAV rear bumpers.
Correct.
That's what you get when you step up to the Bison version, is bumpers, skid plates, extra protection, and winch ready, right?
Right, and then being winch ready. And you get the Bison wheels.
Yeah, the Bison wheels. And you changed the tires.
I did. So it came factory with the Duratrax. And I didn't mind the Duratrax, but I've noticed, and I've had Duratrax on previous vehicles, and for whatever reason I only seem to be able to get about 25,000 miles out of them. and then they start.
And this is from the factory, you mean?
Yeah, that's,
like the new tires.
The new tires,
yeah.
And about 25,000 miles in, they always seem to, regardless of whether or not I'm doing rotations or anything, they just kind of seem to
wear out.
Yeah. And my truck, unfortunately, is mostly a commuter. So I wanted something that got a little bit better gas mileage, but still had a little bit of an off-road profile on it. And the Michelins offer that.
Tires, quite a bit bigger. 33s. These are Goodyear Wrangler Territory MTs, so no more Duratrack. They're switching over to the Territory MT tires, still pretty aggressive. And also in the back, special bumper. A little bit of special styling here because they're hiding the rear exhausts. So normally the rear exhaust would pop out through the bumper. Now no more. For the ZR2, the exhausts are actually hidden down below. They're trying to protect them a little bit better. But still, this is a very big truck. Crew cab. The wheelbase is way longer. The breakover angle is maybe not as good. And the maneuverability, which we'll discover that today. Now I can go to off-road mode. I can also use terrain mode, which is kind of one pedal driving.
Okay.
So maybe I can try one pedal right now. See, I'm not pushing the brake.
Right, and it's just holding us here.
And it's holding me because I'm in terrain mode.
We're on a pretty good hill, so.
Yeah, which is their latest one pedal mode. I don't know if I can make this turn. Let me see.
You were out about as close to the pits as we were on mine.
Yeah.
And
no, I don't think I will. Okay, I might have to back up. Using my camera, yeah, I might hit that yellow line. So yeah, the size of this truck is there. Okay, now back to low, third gear. And once again, the idea here is like one pedal driving so you can modulate the throttle and try to go as easy as possible. And this is nice too. Look, we're staring at the sky, but we could still
see the ground. Yeah.
It's kind of flat, right? The image is kind of flattish.
Yeah, I mean, it tells you what you're gonna, like if you're gonna hit a rock or something. But yeah,
a big obstacle.
A big obstacle, but the ground is all just kind of blends together.
Yeah.
But it's better than looking at the sky.
It is a little bit better. You know what it's better for? Also approaching drive-thrus. I'm serious. Like sometimes, you know those tight drive-thrus when you're approaching those? So it also works there. I'm gonna go directly up the harder side. You know, these DSSV shocks are also pretty comfy.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I wanted the ZR2 was the whole shock system. They're really nice and tight on road, so that you don't get a lot of sway, you don't get a lot of body roll, and then off road they're fairly comfortable and compliant, and they really shine if you can get on some high speed kind of
off-roady sections. Right?
Yeah, like washboard.
And then tell me about the winch and how you accessorized it.
So on this one, I actually kind of wanted to, I've done, like I said, in the past, I've had Wranglers and some other models.
Yeah.
And I always put winches on them after the fact because I like having the recovery gear.
Yeah.
And so this one I had the option. Chevy offers a come-up winch through their accessory catalog. So I had them install it from the factory, right when I bought it. So it's a dealer installed option, but it was installed before I actually picked the truck up. So you just have to come up here, you just turn on the power switch, and then the winch is basically ready to go. It's beeping right now because I don't have the wireless remote turned on. And then you have the backup of, you can actually plug in a pinned remote if you want.
The engine here is a 308 horsepower, a V6, 3.6 liter. I mean, they've had it for many years. And also an 8-speed automatic, right?
Yes.
And how many miles do you have on this puppy?
32,000 and change.
Okay. So have you had any mechanical issues, any
None.
maintenance?
Just oil changes, that's it.
Just oil changes, yeah.
Oil changes and standard inspections.
Yeah, so that's pretty nice. And what is your mileage? You say you commute, 50 miles a day or so?
Yeah, it's about 25 miles each way, so 50 total miles. and I get about, depending on how much foot I put into it, I get between 17 and 19 as an average per tank. So
MPG, yep.
Yeah, it's not
nice.
So it's not horrible, but it's not great.
Only one engine option here in the Silverado ZR2, which is a 6.2 liter V8. Lots of horsepower, 420, lots of torque. It's got a 10-speed automatic now, not an 8-speed like in the Colorado. And fuel efficiency, I got, well, when going from here to Utah to Moab and back, we got about 17.6. So maybe if you're nice to the Silverado, you can almost get the same MPG as in the smaller truck. All right, so let's try Volcano. Volcano is basically kind of a loose, dark sand. That's why we called it Volcano. And it also tests the approach angle, which we should have plenty of. And when you chose these tires, you didn't go too much bigger diameter, did you?
These are actually the factory diameter.
The factory diameter.
As the Duratracs were.
Okay.
So same size. I didn't want to change anything out.
Obviously changing the suspension. I mean, you're paying for the suspension already.
Right.
That's why you're getting the ZR2. Is that the hitch?
That's a little bit of the bumper.
All right, let's see if we have traction. And this is 20 degrees up, 21 degrees up. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And this has been
A little touch on the back bumper, but not bad.
But these bumpers are massive.
Yeah, and then hanging down, you've got those protective tubes too.
Yeah.
So you lose a little clearance on those.
All right, let's hit the Volcano and see if we have the good clearances. We should have enough approach. And I don't know about departure angle, but we'll see. What?
Are you?
It's getting stuck. I'm not using lockers.
I wonder if you're hung up on the back.
I am probably. So you know what happened? I think in Colorado, all 4 tires were already planted, and one of my tires is still in the air. No way.
Yeah.
So let me engage lockers. You see if my rear bumper. It may have scraped a little.
Yeah.
So once again, 21 degrees up, staring at the sky, but we also have a little bit of a benefit. Okay, so you know, Colorado actually did better there on that Volcano. Now let's see the trenches. All right, now approaching the trenches, this is where we should see more articulation. We should see, maybe, hopefully we could get a little bit stuck.
Here we go.
We're spinning. So technically, I could try to plow through this, right?
Right.
But we don't have to.
Nope. Technology.
All right, so let me do a rear locker, front locker. Nice. All of them, both are engaged, and it was very easy. Let's see if we can get out of this mess.
All right.
I'm just idling.
It's nice.
That's not even. That's not.
And
even...
we're clear.
Oh, that's not fair. The ZR2.
Nope.
Come on.
Don't need to tear up the trail. Don't need to tear up the truck.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's where the lockers come into play. All right. Now let's see what the Silverado can do. Okay, my lockers are off. Let's see how this works.
Yep, getting a little
similar,
slip, but you got more grab on your tires, I think.
And I think also the wheelbase is longer.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm grabbing some fresher, some different dirt, you know?
I mean, you're definitely getting slip, but we are creeping, so.
Yep.
I think you can make it through without the locker.
We are wider, like by about 6 inches
Yep.
in this truck. Okay, so let me see. Get stopped. And look at the image. It's telling me also like which tires are losing traction.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's gives me a warning.
Yeah, so we are getting opposite front passenger rear.
There
we
are stuck. Oh,
but it
grabbing.
figured it out.
The tire's grabbing. Okay, it figured it out. Okay, now dropping in the other one. Figured it out pretty easily.
Yeah. Oh. Rear tire's loosening, but
once again, lockers help too. You know, if we had lockers on, we would not have noticed.
right.
We wouldn't notice that traction loss. When the ZR2 Colorado came out, it was the only mid-size pickup from the factory with 2 lockers, front and rear. And of course, then the Gladiator showed up a little bit later. Here are the switches on the center console. When you're in many different modes, including all-wheel drive or 4x4 high, you can use a rear locker. The front locker can also be added to the equation, but only in 4 low. So that's how they did it. And actually, that's how they're still doing it. Let me show you the Silverado truck. This is a full-size truck. It's way bigger in size. And updated interiors, you can see here. But still, rear locker is available right here. And then the front and rear lockers are, again, available in 4-wheel drive low range. We will be using that today just to show you how they work. But other than that, it's a unique interior. This is now a premium, also a very premium truck for the Silverado lineup. So they have special stitching, special touches, nicely wrapped, comfortable steering wheel. So it's becoming a little bit more expensive, of course, and more premium. And finally, the mounds is really the breakover angle, right? But you have a number of skid plates, even the differential. Even the differential is protected. And of course the transmission, the transfer case.
I heard us drag a little.
A little.
We'll have to see if that was the actual skids or the steps. Yep.
There, I think we're in the skid plate. And the dirt is a little softer, so you can kind of push through it. Well, there you go. Colorado did well. Okay, so I'm a little bit nervous about this because this truck is so long that it may drag a lot on the mounds. So let's figure this out. Look, we can see the camera. We have cameras for cameras.
Cameras for cameras.
Yes. Crack the window so I can hear. Oh, you see this little flat spot? I think this is where the Colorado went. Slowly. You know what? I don't think it dragged.
I don't think it dragged. I didn't hear anything. I don't feel anything.
Well, how about we end like this? The Colorado was very impressive, and maybe the clearance is one issue it has. I mean,
a little bit.
Not a problem.
You've got 33s. Those are only 31s.
Yeah.
So, and then I think just overall.
But the capability of the Colorado is amazing. The Silverado is a little larger, maybe a little bit tougher to maneuver, but has a better clearance and maybe even better traction because the tires are a little bit more aggressive. But
slightly better comfort.
Maybe it's a draw?
I think it's a draw.
All right, sounds good. Of course, there are a couple more considerations when you compare the Colorado ZR2 versus Silverado ZR2, and that is towing ability, payload, and price. This truck right here will tow up to 5,000 pounds. This truck only almost tows about 9,000. This truck, when new, was about 51,000. This truck is 67 and above. So yeah, this truck is quite more pricey and can tow more, maybe have a little bit more payload right here. but you have to pay for it. Once again, I want to thank Will for bringing his Colorado over here for the comparison. Maybe Andre's pit is a little bit too easy for these two trucks, so next time we'll maybe throw them onto harder obstacles. As always, you can come back to oldtfl.com for everything automotive. We cover all the news for you right there, or TFLoffroad.com for all of the off-road reviews. Thanks.